let you take it away. We're going to go for another segment, and then we'll be back in a few.
All right. Thanks, Andy. I really appreciate it. Having a lot of fun here, and hopefully people are too. Hopefully we won't read about a high suicide rate on Friday the 13th today. Okay, the principles of design will be the next area that we cover here. So, principles of design are harmony and unity, rhythm or repetition, motion, balance, variety, and contrast. Now these really vary between the author of who's writing it. There's no set concrete way that these are arranged. So I want to talk a little bit about the Gestalt Theory. The Gestalt Theory was basically come up in the early teens and 20s. And basically the idea was that, this statement here, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So we have the elements of design and they're working, but we need them all to work in a way so that the result is more grandiose than each of the individual parts themselves. So when you think about Gestalt, you're thinking about the whole of everything that you're looking at. When I want you to think about the principles of design, I want you to think about music because it's directly relatable to what's going on with the principles. Think about unity in music. So you have a symphony that's playing, you have the strings and the horn section, percussion, and then you got some dude playing a kazoo. So, we have something that's not harmonious and there's no unity there. So it seems out of place. So unity, think about like a jazz quartet or maybe a band where we have the bass and we have the drums and lead guitar and the vocals, and we have everything that's kind of congruent a little bit. And now we have bands that we're kind of pushing the limits of unity, where they have one person, like System of a Down, where they have a guy that sings kind of like Frank Sinatra, and then they have a guy that's being tortured and singing. So it's a combination of things, but it kind of works in a unified way. Next, we want to think about harmony. Harmony in music, basically a different note is being played on a scale that's a certain distance apart from the melody line for the most part. So harmony is other things that are harmonizing with the main theme. So they are not the main theme themselves, they are like the backup players, as it were. So and that's what when you think about, like, we're doing a flower, an image with a lot of flowers and things like that, we want things in there like tulle, we want things in there like, props, like, anything from vases and that type of thing. So we want everything to be unified and have harmony in the image. We want all the props not to be the main player, we want them to be harmonizing props that kind of support the main player. Motion. So with motion, we have, if you know the musical terms, allegro and blah, 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 then we know that think about symphonies, how they speed up, they slow down, the tempo is changed up throughout the piece. So sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to have images that have a lot of motion in them sometimes. Sometimes we need images that are more static. It kind of depends on what you're trying to explain. If you're trying to get a great shot of what's going on in Grand Central Station, you want an image that has a lot of motion. You don't want to appear that everybody's been frozen in time. So motion plays a big key. Balance. Think about, and as far as balance, think about a recording and monotone or mono. So you have two speakers, you're listening to something in mono, you have exactly the same thing coming out of the left speaker as the right speaker. So this would be what we would attribute to formal balance, or symmetrical. So we have the same thing on the left side as we have on the right side. And then things that are imbalanced would be like listening to stereo. So we have voices over on the right ear, we have instruments playing on the left ear. So they're balanced because one thing is balancing out another, but they're not similar objects. The last thing is contrast. So we want to contrast. If you listen to symphonies a lot, or maybe some avant-garde jazz, we have the contrast of things like the horn section versus the woodwinds. We have the percussion versus the violins. We have things that contrast each other, and a lot of times they play off of each other to keep interest into the music. Now, in photography, we're talking about contrast of objects in the scene. So we can talk about very varied things in a scene. We're talking about contrast of textures. We're talking about contrast of colors. We're talking about contrast of lines and shapes and forms. All the elements of design are what we're talking about.